Lowercase all over.
Welcome everybody.
No, just wait.
So it's great that all of you are here. I'm kind of excited this year. Our pre-registrations are up this year, and I've seen lots of people here so far this weekend. I'm getting worse at remembering people's names, but I'm still fairly good at remembering people's faces. And the number of people I've seen that I know, I'm thrilled to reconnect with you and see you here, and the number of people I'm meeting for the first time, even so far in just a few hours of the convention. I'm really excited about that. A lot of that is because I want this convention to be about this community, about the group of people who are here and the group of people who could potentially be here. The connections we make, the things that we learn from each other, and where that can take us. And I think that over the years this convention's built, that has been fairly strong. That's fairly strong has been there. The community has built. We've got to know each other and learn a lot. And I'm going to stop saying that now because I'm family. But it's really what's important to me about these conventions. It's the reason that I continue to be conscious. So I'm thrilled to see all the faces that I recognize and to see lots of faces I don't recognize. And given a chance to reconnect and get to know you for the first time. And I hope that collectively we get to know each other. To that end, over this weekend there's a lot of things happening that are at many conventions. If you've been to conventions before, you've got a good idea of lots of those things, such as panels like this one, or other panels that are on something tied to hard science. We have some students from UNL who are coming to talk about biomolecular communication, how they're in a undergraduate competition to programmatically build bacteria to do things. Last year their entry went about building a bacteria that would bind nitrogen out of water to go about dealing with specifically here in Nebraska, the excessive runoff of nitrogen from fertilizers on farmers' fields. Now this isn't deployed in the wild or anything like that, but they're part of a competition that takes place at MIT. We have groups doing fan sing-alongs. I think there was one earlier tonight that was tied to, people are saying it, and I can't quite hear, Broadway musicals, and there's others along that line, a wide range of topics. With that said, if you're interested in doing a panel at any convention that you happen to be going to, let the convention know. Almost everyone would be thrilled to have you. Oh, and for our convention, you can talk to Mary, who's our programming chair. We've added in some things. Some people this year said, hey, we'd like to do something for the convention. So we've got a murder mystery that's starting at 7 o'clock. No, 8 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock for this panel. 8 o'clock, and I forget what room it's in. It's in one of the panel rooms.
Vega.
In Vega, which is the room down that way.
Just follow me.
Yes,
I'm an
okay.
alien.
Down around the corner and back into the big, large ballroom area. We have a couple groups doing an Artemis Bridge simulator up in our gaming room, and tomorrow they're going to see if they can't get those two connected together so they can end up having multiple starships in the same universe at the same time, possibly against each other, possibly collaboratively. So we'll see what we can do with that. We have an escape room set up in our gaming room. And if you don't know what those are, and you end up going into a room, you're not actually locked in and can't leave. But the emphasis, or the idea is that you're locked in this room and there's some puzzles that you need to figure out. And find the clues to be able to unlock the door to be able to get out, and your time. And we're taking, I think there's a sign-up sheet up there for people to sign up for time slots they'd like, and we encourage you to take a look at that. There's retro gaming up there. I'm hoping all of you have found our con suite that's at that end of the hotel on this floor. We very much consider that a kind of a cornerstone of the convention because food is a great way to bond and connect with people. We also don't want to be going hungry or trying to survive on sugars and starches. So we'll have more real food during meal times. Please come take advantage of that, but also come chat with people and look at the decorations that are around you and say, hey, where did you get that poster? Or I really like that show, or whatever. There's an artist camp tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. What?
2 to 4.
2 to 4. And it'll be right out here at the tables. If you are an artist, if you like doodling, if you like to just play around with or sit around and talk with people who are artists, come and join in. It's a free form, have fun, talk with people, work on art. Yes. So lots of bright things along those lines. Another item, yes. So I'm going to ask you to go about giving the details because I don't remember them off the top of my head because there's far too many pieces of information floating around. Tomorrow, Marko is having a book signing at Francie and Finch, which is across the street in town, 2 blocks, on 13th Street here in front of the hotel.
It's 2 blocks north.
And at what time?
At 1:30 to 2:30.
Okay. I also wanted to mention, because there was some confusion with the hotel about this, the hotel had assured me that anyone who's with the convention can get the convention rate for hotel rooms. They were apparently telling some people that wasn't available anymore at one point in time, and they had assured me that is still available this weekend. So if you have a hotel room, they didn't give it to you at that rate, or you wanted to get a hotel room and either didn't because of that, or let them know that you're part of the convention. They should give you it at the convention rate. If you have any issues with that, tell them they need to talk to me, or come find me and I will go talk to them on their behalf. But just in case that was an issue, I wanted to make sure that was out there for everybody. I'm sure that there will be things that I end up forgetting about all of this, but I'm going to continue on with this. Too many programs, so not enough time. All right, we have a short story contest every year, and the categories that we have range from year to year based upon who enters and how many entries we have. This year we ended up having a winner for a youth category, for non-professional writer, and for a professional writer. Those winning stories are published in your program book. They start on page unnumbered, but before halfway by about 4 pages. So the winner of the youth category is Ella Montoya. You want to stand up? If I remember right, this is actually your second time winning.
Yep.
Congratulations. There is a $25 Barnes & Noble gift card that goes with that. I know that we have them. I don't know where they physically are right now, so I can't find that. Please, if you get to a point that you need to leave before I have found them to get them to you, please check by ops, which I'm going to operations is a room that we have where there's convention staff to go about answering questions and has an idea of what's going on with the convention as a whole and can get in contact with people to respond to things, get things resolved, that type of stuff. Operations is kind of, as you came down the stairs and escalators, if you turn to your right and try to go back beside them, you go down kind of a short pathway there, and there's a coat room on the left-hand side past the elevators. And that's where operations is. So that is probably an important thing to make sure people know about. But stop by there if I haven't physically gotten them to you, but I will attempt to do so yet tonight. All right. The winner of The winner of the adult professional category is Matthew Norton. Did Matthew Norton make it? I don't think Matthew Norton's made it in yet, but he's been coming to the con for quite a few years. I'm trying to remember the group he's part of. Avant-Garde Improv, yes. Who's done panels for us before and been here, and they've gone around with a video camera and a puppet and talking to people. And the winner of the adult non-professional writer contest is Lisa Montoya. So do check their stories out. They are in the program books that you have. Yes.
I also wanted to mention I had to put this in the program book, but Lisa also got best overall highest score.
All right. With that, I'm going to quickly ask if my staff has anything that they want to remind me of before I go on that I've so far forgotten to mention. Okay.
Hi, I'm Carrie Hansen. I am the Facebook and Twitter maven. It's nice to see you all. I've been in our college. It's been various staff, but a lot of it has been me. The Constellation hashtag, we want you to use it because it's easy to find everybody else's posts and see everybody's pictures. The hashtag is ConStellation8, all one word, and it's spelled with the letters just like they are on the program cover. So ConStellation8 is your hashtag. Use it, love it, share it, let your friends know about it. And I hope that you have a great con. Thanks so much for all of your interactions with the pages. If you have Twitter and you haven't found us on Twitter yet, just go do it. Look for the hashtag, you'll see us. So.
And Facebook as well as the same hashtag.
Yes,
right?
same hashtag across all the platforms.
If you happen to take photos, and by all means feel free to put them, to link them on Facebook. If you don't use Facebook or don't want to throw photos up there, but are happy to share them so that they are, you can stop by operations and they can, with your permission, copy photos over and get them posted up on Facebook, tied to our account, so that they're there and tied to a larger archive. All right, any other reminders? Okay, yes. In the very back of your program book, on the last, just inside the back cover, there is an interesting drawing that is roughly a stylized version of the basement convention space, with a treasure map path to the gaming product, maybe. There are, as we've done in many years in the past, individuals around the convention that have stickers. If you talk to them and ask, they'll go about giving you one. If you go about getting 9 of them, 9 different colors, you can take this or take the 9 colors, put them on this, and then take this to operations, and you can get a prize. So,
Fabulous prize.
depends on who you are and what's available at the time. But there are a wide range of prices, and hopefully there's something that anyone who goes there would enjoy getting. I don't know that they're going to be extravagant prices, but yes. With that, I think I will go ahead and...
Room party announcement?
Yes. Are there any room party announcements?
I'll use them. Thank you for asking. Yeah, there's no 349. We're holding a room party to celebrate absolutely nothing except for the fact that I'm moving from one house to another and I've got extra bills. It's easy to make friends in this crowd. Tonight around 9-ish or so until we start having to haul people out of the room. Security, I'm well assured, doesn't even know where it is, nobody tell them. I think that's it. Yeah, there will be balloons. If you ask me very nicely, there will even be someone else go. So you have to ask. Hey, not all. But you have to ask very nicely. Oh, I'm sorry, one other quick thing. I have to ask, is the art auction tomorrow? Come to the art auction at 7 o'clock. Bring lots and lots of money and taste for art, because we've got some fantastic art. Not just the lady out there, a lot of people send me.
One thing I realized that I forgot that I wanted to put on my agenda to mention briefly is tied to this being a community and wanting to build and learn and grow from each other is that we also need to make sure that we're respecting each other and that people feel safe. And while I wish that to some degree comments like this weren't needed in the community, at times things happen. I'd much rather say something than not. We're here to have a good time. If what we're doing or what you see someone else doing is causing someone to not be able to have a good time, to not enjoy their experience, that's not okay. As a convention, as staff, we don't want to have to deal with those situations. However, if they happen, we will. We want people to feel safe, and that is probably more important than most anything else that we have in our program. We have rules in there tied to weapons that we don't want you to use props that look like real guns. Not because we don't want you to be able to have props that match your costume, but we don't want police getting called, as has happened, for someone that what they're called for doesn't make any sense for what is actually happening. The situation, it doesn't matter. We don't want things. So. Think about your actions. Watch. Try and help other people monitor their actions. Remind them if things seem to be getting out of hand. Mention something to our staff. We will step in. We'll do something. We'll try and help alleviate if you feel unsafe. Say something to con staff. Come to operations. Come to registration. Come to con suite. And we will do what we can to create a space where that situation can continue, and then work with you to go about resolving the situation. As a convention, we've not ever had to deal with this in any way other than needing to talk to people and say, hey, some of the choices you're making aren't the choices we think you want to make. Can you rethink some of your choices? And so far, that has been successful in getting things to change. There's no guarantee that will happen. We're committed to making it be a safe community and working with things. Were you wanting to add to that, or did I cover what you want to say?
Quite simply, this constellation has been going on for 8. This is our 8th year. For 7 years, we have not had to do anything drastic because we are all a community of nerds who just want to be nerds. I want us to keep being nerds. I want us to keep being nerds who don't have a problem. I don't want to have to go to work. I'm here for vacation. But don't hesitate for 1 second. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel threatened, if anything seems out of place to you, come to me. We're conflict resolution experts. With us, with the hotel, it's going to be handled. We don't want you to have to worry. We want everybody to just have a good time.
As a quick note that was mentioned, and this is generally true, although we didn't budget well and run out, so I didn't end up getting one on content. But the staff generally has orange lanyards on, and the majority of staff has orange lanyards on. So find someone with an orange lanyard on. With that said, also, if you have an orange lanyard on and you're not sure, you're comfortable with someone coming to you and saying, hey, I feel unsafe, I'm not sure, let us know, and we can swap the lanyard out. We can get you a black lanyard, because if you have an orange lanyard on, we want both sides of that to work out well. So, okay. Yay. So now on to the thing that I was going to go on to before and found significant sidetracks. Our guest of honor. So if you've looked at the website, you've looked at the program book, you're probably aware, somewhat familiar with our guests of honor, hopefully you've looked at some of their artwork, read some of their stories, and possibly read a bit of their bios and got become familiar with their backgrounds. Going through the individuals up here, I'm going to actually start with our Toastmaster, Justin Lewis. Justin Lewis is a long-time con goer. I think he's helped out with some conventions and running them. He's an artist. He's done artwork for our convention most of the years since our first year. In fact, our first T-shirt was the artwork on our first T-shirt was done by Justin, as is the artwork on the back of the program book.
And the badges.
And the badges, yes. He's also known for running a blog about B and Z grade movies and oftentimes puts on panels about them, of which there will be at least one this weekend. And I encourage you to get a chance to sit down and talk with them. And yes. I don't know. I will jump to Arden.
Hello.
Arden Nixon. He's our artist guest honor. Arden's been with us since
The very beginning.
was it our first year? Okay. I was trying to remember.
So there's a picture of me holding up the art supply, or the art racks with her trying to pull the pipe out, not touching the ground.
Oh, the infamous picture of me trying to pull the pipe out. Yes, it is my honor to have more or less been thrown into conventions because of Constellation, which was thanks to Cinnamon Dawkin at a Novel Idea Bookstore who was working with the con and said, you guys need to talk. And since then, I have been at several, been artist guest of honor at several, and this is the one I've been wanting for so long, so thank you very much. And a special thanks to my con family. As Jeff said, this is a community, and you will, and even if you're new to it, you will find your con family. And these are the people you can count on when you have a loved one in the hospital to get your mail and help you run errands. They take that term seriously, and I love you guys. Thank you so much for this honor.
Every year we give our guests of honor gifts, and so currently the guest of honor is passing out this year's T-shirts to our guests of honor, as well as bags of gifts that we'll have them open here in a little bit. That's part of them talking about things and lead into potentially some question and answer stuff. So at this point, I'm going to go down the table if that's all right. Marko Kloos is our author guest of honor. Say things that are on your bio and not, but if you want to,
I guess I could work
if you
for
want to
this.
introduce yourself, I'm happy to let you. You'll do it better than I will.
I'm sure you're all wondering why I called you in here today. Let's talk about timeshares. No, for those of you who haven't read any of my stuff, get out. I have a military science fiction series called Frontlines, and that's up to 5 books now. I just turned in the 6th one that's hopefully going to be out later this year. And I also write in the Wild Cards universe for this kind of obscure, little-known author called George or Martin, something or other. And you've actually had 2 of my friends here as guests of honor. You had Delilah Dawson and Carrie Vaughn. Carrie Vaughn is also one of the Wild Cards gang. And they both spoke very highly of you, and because, you know, we're a tight-knit group, we authors, and when I got the guest of honor invitation, I've never been to Nebraska, never been to Lincoln, I've never been to this convention. And so, you know, naturally I asked my friends, you know, hey, you've been to this convention, what do you think? Should I go? And they were both very, very complimentary of you all and said, yeah, definitely, they both had a great time, and they both urged me to go. So thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor.
Next is Chris McKitterick, who I don't remember how is an author guest of honor as well. He's not listed as an author guest of honor because of weirdness of how we list guests of honor, but he's an author and a guest of honor, and
we must fight to the death now to get.
Hey, this is awesome to be here. Thank you, everybody, for bringing us up here. This is my first time in Lincoln. I've driven past. Sorry, I haven't been here before. Met a number of you at Conquest in Kansas City or at WorldCon or places like that. So it's fun to see some familiar faces. I'm a writer. I'm a teacher, scholar, and I also run the Center for the Study of Science Fiction down at the University of Kansas.
last and certainly not least is our Grandmaster guest of honor, James Gunn.
I've been around for a long time, but this is the first time I've been to a convention in Lincoln. Matter of fact, it's only the second time I was in Lincoln. I was here about 40 years ago as a speaker for Big 8 conference institutions, which also sort of dates me. But my first science fiction convention was in 1952, and perhaps I bet I'm the only person here who's going to a convention in 1952. But it turned out to be a world convention, and it hooked me on science fiction, and so I've been attending conventions ever since. But in the interim, I've been writing and teaching and doing a lot of other things. But one reason, or one aspect of being old is that you can claim certain titles which other people cannot. Not just being old, but I've been called the last living golden age author. Wasn't something, a title I claimed, it was given to me. But I should admit here that it was only by the grace of a year that I reached that status, because my first two stories were published in 1949, and we determined to date the golden age from 1938 to 1950. Not that there were not lots of golden age after that, but that was the one that we talk about a lot. So looking forward to meeting you and talking to you and enjoying your convention.
Go down the line, opening the presents, and then go into kind of a question and answer. Does that work for you, Tricia?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Do you want to start with James Gunn and work our way back this way then?
That's only fair, since we,
Okay.
I would say yes.
So James?
If you want to give your present.
Oh. A lot of green stuff. Looks like something I can use.
We're hoping.
But it's square. What a beautiful box. I would put my cufflinks in it if I had my cufflinks. Thank you.
Those circuit boards?
Yes, they are.
That's awesome. I also love them. Should I
read this one?
It's information about the.
Oh, okay. Don't spoil it. Sketch book.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I got some white pictures. Awesome, I got one of my own.
I got the rocks.
It's not chicken, right?
No. Ooh, I got one too. Awesome. Thank you.
Sorry, that was right. I have a preponderance of green stuff. And ribbon!
And that's it.
No, there is a box. There is a box. I was actually looking for pink ribbon the other day, so thank you. Ooh, what are you?
So it looks like these circuit board keepsake boxes are made in India by a project that is about community development. It's cool.
I noticed that mine is also from 10,000 Villages, which is a shop in the Haymarket that donates all proceeds back to the makers of their products, as is this beautiful scarf. Thank you.
Now we get to the part where I'm sitting there going, how do I make this transition to going to kind of a question-answer type thing for the last 15 or so minutes?
You let the guest liaison go back to her seat first.
No. You're the guest liaison.
Oh,
ask
do I get to
stuff.
ask the first question?
Sure.
Okay. This is for all of our panelists. What is the most embarrassing song you will admit to listening to regularly? Because you like it.
I don't get embarrassed. I don't think that's the thing I can answer that.
Only one song?
If you have more than one, you're welcome to list more.
On my power painting mix, it includes both Springtime for Hitler and Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid.
That is awesome.
I'll have to confess that I watch the Music Man every 4th of July. So that's my guilty pleasure.
Maybe. I'm going to have to go with, on my regular art mix, is Miko's disco cover of the Star Wars theme.
You know, like, okay, so something embarrassing would be listening, like, all those stupid ditties for commercials from the 80s. They're all there still. I will sing them sometimes, so I guess that's embarrassing.
They just sort of pop out of your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God. I've got a lot of guilty pleasures, musically speaking, but the most embarrassing is probably the one that I still turn up the radio for when it comes on is that awful Carly Rae Jepsen song that's been on an endless loop in the back of my head since it came out. What's the name of it again?
Call Me Maybe.
Yes, Call Me Maybe.
Can you sing a little now?
We're all singing in our heads right now. Thank you.
Be brave.
Chris, is there anything you'd like to say about an event in June?
Oh, sure. There's one of the things that the Center for the Study of Science Fiction does down in Lawrence, Kansas, is each year in the middle of our summer program, which is all of June in the past several years, we hold something called the Campbell Conference. And it's not quite like an academic conference like SFRA or something like that, but we give awards for the best science fiction novel of the year for the Campbell Award, the best science fiction short story for the Sturgeon Award. Bring in those authors when we can, or their editors, or something else like that. And we have a round table. In this year's discussion round table, we're going to be talking about saving the world through science fiction and also honoring Jim Gunn. And usually it's between 50 or like 40 and 100 people. It all depends what happens at that point. But yeah, check it out. The center's website is just sfcenter.ku.edu. In fact, I have some stickers I'll be sharing around later on. So it has the website right down there. But yeah, we have a bunch of guests coming in this year. I think we're up to about 20 people or so. Mike and Ruth are people to talk with. That's it.
Yeah, sure. If you're interested in more information, Ruth and I are in the planning stages, and see, we have Pat Cadigan, Sheila Williams, editor of Asmoms, will be coming. Gary K. Wolf, the lead reviewer in Locus, will be there. Karen Helexon, former student of Jim and work scholar. Brad Denton, author Brad Denton, and Nate Williams, another alum of KU that's a scholar, and a fiction writer, and probably some additional writers who win the awards, hopefully.
Sheila Finch will be there.
Oh, Sheila Finch, of course, yes. And we'll also have a number of visitors from China coming to see what the American science fiction community is all about.
If you've ever wondered what's happening in China when these people are in the know, particularly in the science fiction field, it's a great pleasure to me to welcome back many of my former students. It's really going to be a pleasure to see them again.
Yeah, the award ceremony is on Friday night, the 16th or something. And that afternoon we also have, this is the concluding event of the writing workshops. I do a short fiction writing workshop, and Kish Johnson does a novel writing workshop. And then we have some repeat offenders workshops for the following 2 weeks, as well as the Teaching Institute for people who want to study science fiction. So a lot of those folks will be there as well. So it's really, it's a pretty cool international get together with not a lot of people, so you get to meet everybody and hang out. And Friday night, Saturday night, we usually have parties.
Most of us are familiar with your art, because that's what you do, you art. It's all over the West. But I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about it.
My writing is a little bit of a well-kept secret. It's so much easier to show a painting than it is to try to share a story. I recently finally got brave enough to publish the story behind my Makeshift Angels. The story came first, and it is, there are postcards on the swag table by registration that have the web address for it if you're interested, and even not if you just want to come by the table. I've had a lot of people remark that all of my paintings have a story, because to me, I can't, it's one thing to throw out a lovely little lion, it's another to paint someone and try to imagine what it is they are feeling. I need to feel, I know who that person is before I can get in there. So in a way, even when you can't see the words, there is still a story behind the image. And I do have a panel along those lines, but specifically Makeshift Angel is the dark beauty I try to strive for anymore when I'm really digging into in my studio to paint something that I want to touch people with, because animals are wonderful. We can project ourselves onto them. I can change their mood with the color, but to get inside a stranger and have a stranger come up to me and say, "You saw this," even though we've never met, is the absolute epitome of what it is to paint to me, to take this multicolored goo and make something, and it is my very humble wish that my words do the same thing. So if you purchase the book and read it. I would be honored if you left me a very honest review. If there's something to criticize, please do so. That is how I learn. But I guess, now I'm running out of words, and you asked me about my writing. There is so much to share and never enough time, so please always feel free to stop me, to ask about my writing, to ask about my work, or to just chat because you have a moment. And again, thank you so much.
I have a question for James Gunn. You are a Hugo Award winner, which is a rare thing, but you're not the only Hugo Award winner named James Gunn. The director of Guardians of the Galaxy has the same name, and I'm just curious if you've ever had any contact with your name twin, or if you've at least seen the movie or had any thoughts on that, and what's it like to see your name on the screen for a movie you didn't direct?
I had an interesting experience when I was a guest of honor at the World Convention in San Antonio. They had a round table discussion with fans, and I went down there to the basement of this hotel to wait for the fans who would show up. First one was a fan who had a video of a James Gunn movie, and he really wouldn't believe that I was not the filmmaker. He kept insisting I should sign it anyways. No, I have not had any direct contact with him, but I had a contact with an earlier James Gunn, who was also a screenwriter, who back in about 1958 had just written a screenplay for the Young Philadelphians. And I got a call from him one day, and he said, the Desilu Playhouse is going to put on a dramatization of one of your stories called Man in Arden. And they take a lot of trade ads. And since I've just done the Young Philadelphians, the producers are unhappy with the fact that they might be confused. And would you mind if I published an article pointing out that there were two of us? And I said, well, no, certainly wouldn't. And often have people come up to me and say, I've just seen your film. And he said, that's strange. He said, my sister is a science fiction fan, and she keeps asking me if I've really written that story. So, but I look forward to the day, perhaps, when the much more famous James Gunn this time will become aware of my existence.
You go by James E. Gunn. He just uses James Gunn, right?
Well, I sometimes just go by James Gunn. I have no particularly fondness for our mental relation. But I did see his movie, his last movie. Matter of fact, I've seen most of them. Thought they're really pretty good. The only one I didn't see was his dog movie, whatever it was called. Tim Slither and several others, and I really enjoy his work. And I did watch his what they call Guardians of the Galaxy. Thought it was really, a good movie. But the one thing that really bothers me in a way is perhaps out of just to keep track in a sense of items that might appear about me, or I Google my name, and every time I get a report on it, almost every one is about the movie maker.
Mr. Gunn, your career spans such a long period of time. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about changes that you've seen in the publishing industry or in the writing itself over the past 50+ years.
Certainly there have been big changes. Even 25 years ago, I was at a convention in Kansas City and on a panel with a number of other writers, and some of them were complaining about the fact that they did not get proper attention, or the editors didn't pay attention to them sufficiently. And I pointed out that when I started in science fiction, there were only about 50 of us writing, and it was all the fault of these other writers that they got into the business and complicated the whole situation. But in the publishing field, we certainly see major changes with the rise of well, the sort of, I guess the thing that affects me most is the disappearance of what we used to call the mid-list book. And that is the fact that, you know, when the publishers used to ban books, for instance, would send out 6 or 8 books a month, there would always be a book at the top list, which would be one that was very popular. They presumed would sell a lot of copies. And then there was one at the bottom of the list, which would primarily be tie-in books of various kinds, which they also would sell a lot of copies. And then there were the books in the middle, which really were aimed at more discerning readers, which never would sell many copies. And generally, the publishers are no longer willing to publish those kind of books, which to my mind are those which really help shape the genre, because the ones at the top are really aimed at general understanding of what science fiction readers want, and the ones at the bottom are intended to appeal to those people who like movies better than reading books, and generally view those kind of texts as what David Hartwell called program books, which they would read and relive the movie experience. I say that having written a couple of them myself, but under special circumstances. So now one wonders where the leadership of science fiction will come from. And I guess you generally have to look for some of the small publishers who have risen sort of to take the place of the mid-list books. A lot of them are publishing probably more significant books than the major publishers are publishing. And I hope you will all think about patronizing them and looking, if you want to see science fiction persist and maybe prevail, help support the people who are helping do that. Another thing I would recommend to you is that subscribe to the science fiction magazines. They are, in spite of the fact that they're diminishing influence in terms of the whole spectrum of science fiction, films, television, and the major and book publishing have generally come to dominate the field, but the magazines are still centrally important to what goes on. Don't let them die. You know, do your duty and keep up with them, and you'll find there's some really interesting things going on. I say that having just sold 10 stories to astronauts.
I had a question for Marko, and I was curious if you started out reading military science fiction when you got into science fiction, or did you kind of grow into that as your field of what you write? Was that an early influence for you?
Not really. It sounds a little cheap when I put it that way, but when I decided on, when I went to this workshop where they put ideas into my head that I was actually good enough to be published, and so I decided to, put the pedal to the metal and really try to write something that's commercially viable, and that's how it always starts. And I looked around, and the writers that were my instructors, what the kind of stuff that they wrote and what sold well, and one of my instructors at this workshop was John Scalzi, who writes military science fiction, and I looked around and figured that as far as science fiction goes, military sci-fi is a pretty reliable seller, especially if you're writing series. So it wasn't entirely a commercial decision because I was in the military in Germany, like way back when. We had a thing called the Cold War. Kids ask your parents. But I wanted to have basically a vehicle to work up all those memories, from boot camp and from my service time, because I noticed that science fiction writers, military science fiction writers, people who served in the military can always tell without fail if the writer who writes about boot camp or the military experience was actually in uniform or not. And like my friend John is a really good writer, and I love his novels. He wrote the Old Man's War books. But like just reading through the boot camp scenes, like you stumble across stuff that you would never, that somebody who wasn't in the military would never pick up. But as somebody who's served, you just kind of read it and go. And so I decided, while this stuff is still in my head, and before I forget it, I wanted to write a military science fiction novel because A, I knew it was commercially pretty viable at the time, and B, I wanted to have something to unload all of my memories into. So a lot of the dialogue between our hero and his drill instructor, or all the phrases that the drill instructors use and all that stuff, a lot of that is pulled verbatim from what my drill instructors told me. So it was just convenient and commercially viable at the same time.
I think that we probably need to call it there for this panel. But I do think that all of our guests are honored. Be happy to talk with anybody throughout the weekend. There will be local panels throughout the weekend that will each be on. So please take a look at that. Again, thank you everyone for being here.